If you have seen The Conjuring, then you know that Ed and Lorraine Warren are two American paranormal investigators. For over 50 years, Ed and Lorraine Warren have been working with subjects of spirits and demonology. In their 50 years, they have encountered terrifying spirits and demons. In this video, will we be taking a look at the 5 scariest and real Ed and Lorraine Warren paranormal investigations. The Haunting of the Perron Family. In the 1970s, Carol and Roger Perron purchased their dream home in Rhode Island, called the Old Arnold Estate, a 200 acres in size and a former plantation that were built in the 16th century. What the family did not know was that their new home had a dark past. The Old Arnold Estate has been the home to 8 generations of families that have lived and died in the house, many of whom had taken their own lives by hanging, poisoning, and a young girl named Prudence Arnold even got raped and murdered by an unknown killer. It didn't take long before the parents understood why the previous owner advised them to leave the lights on at night. The family soon started to experience paranormal activities, such as loud bangs, doors would slam shut on their own. The family would be kept up at night by an unknown child spirit that would cry and call out for his mother. Another spirit would sometimes torture the family's 8-year-old daughter named Cindy, telling her over and over,
"There are 7 dead soldiers buried. There are 7 dead soldiers buried in the wall."
But there was one spirit that was the worst of them all, that would especially target Carolyn. This spirit was called Bathsheba, and is believed to be the ghost of Bathsheba Sherman, a witch and satanist that used to live in the house in the early 19th century, which later killed herself by hanging herself from a tree. In the beginning, Bathsheba would pinch and throw objects at Carolyn, and Bathsheba soon learned that Carolyn's biggest fear was fire, which she often used to terrify Carolyn. As time went by, Bathsheba tried to possess Carolyn, which led the parents' family to contact Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed and Lorraine confirmed that Carolyn was possessed by Bathsheba's spirit, and they got permission from the Vatican to perform an exorcism on Carolyn. Witnessing the exorcism were daughter Andrea Perron, that describes the exorcism as the following.
"The night I thought I saw my mother die was the most terrifying night of all. She spoke in a voice we had never heard before, and a power not of this world threw her 20 feet into another room."
If you have seen the movie The Conjuring, then you know that Ed and Lorraine Warren are successful to drive out Bathsheba's spirit from Carolyn. But in reality, the Warren were not successful. Carol and Roger Perron knew that the Warrens' intentions were good, but things only got worse around them, so the family asked the Warrens to leave. The Perron's family, due to financial problems, had to endure the terrifying living condition in the house for 10 more horrifying years before they finally were able to move to Georgia. The Amityville Horror House. On November 13th, 1974, at 112 Ocean Avenue, Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his family in their sleep. He was later arrested and got 25 years in prison for the murders. A year later, George and Kathleen Lutz purchased and moved to 112 Ocean Avenue with their 2 children. A friend of George suggested that they should have the house blessed by a priest due to the horrifying history of the house. George agreed and contacted Father Ray, that came and blessed the house. After blessing the house, Father Ray told George that he felt something strange in one of the upstairs bedrooms, and that the room should not be used as a bedroom. In the same week as the family moved into the new home, strange things began to happen. Cold spots would often appear throughout the house, furniture would move by themselves, and knockings could sometimes be heard during the night. The Lutz family's personalities drastically changed. George became obsessed with the fireplace. The children argued more than usual, which resulted in beatings from their parents. The youngest child, named Missy, said that she had a new friend named Jody. George and Kathy claimed to have witnessed 2 red eyes staring at them from the upstairs bedroom window. Missy believed it to be Jody wanting to come inside. One night, George woke up and he saw how Kathy starts to slowly slide away from the bed. He then felt something get in bed with him and he couldn't move. Bangings from the children's room could be heard. The Lutz family fled the house on the following afternoon, 28 days later from when they moved in. The family later contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren and they agreed to investigate the house. After entering the house, Lorraine Warren felt an overwhelming sense of sadness and depression. The Warrens then entered the basement, where they felt a powerful presence of something inhuman. They said the following: "It was as if I were standing underneath a waterfall. The pressure was drawing me down to the floor. I commanded in the name of Jesus Christ. What was there to reveal its identity? I understood right at the point that what we were dealing with was no ghost." The Warrens left the house and later returned on the night of March the 6th, 1976, with a group of professional psychics to assist them. Channel 5 news team covered the investigation. Not long after they entered the house, spirits began to make their presence noticed. Mary Pascarella, one of the psychics, said,
"I began to say my prayers and I was saying the Our Father. I looked out of the door, and as I was saying the Our Father, there was a group of figures saying the Our Father backward."
Many of the people present during the investigation became ill, and after entering the room that Father Ray had told George not to sleep in, the cameraman felt how his heart speed up and had to leave the room. Albert Riley, another psychic, said, "Whatever is here is most definitely of a negative nature. It has nothing to do with anyone who had once walked the earth in human form." The Warren felt that the house could only be saved through a cleansing performed by an Anglican exorcist or a Roman Catholic priest. George and Kathy Lutz said that they were not willing to take on this responsibility, so they instead returned the property to Columbia Savings and Loan. The Haunting in Connecticut. In 1986, Carmen and Al Snedeker moved to the small town of Southington, Connecticut, in order for their oldest son to be closer to the hospital at which he was being treated for Hodgkin's lymphoma. The family moved into a former funeral home called Hallahan Funeral Home, which they felt to be the perfect house for the family, which consists of 3 children and a cousin. Not long after they had settled in the house, Carmen began to experience some strange phenomena. Loud bangs could sometimes be heard, items would disappear. Carmen was not the only one to have these kind of experiences. Soon the children began to see strange people walking around in the house and hearing terrifying whispers. Carmen said the following:
"My son started seeing this young man with long black hair down all the way to his hips. He would talk to my son every day. Sometimes he would threaten him, other times he would stand there and just say his name, which was enough to scare him."
The oldest of the family's children then started to have radical personality shifts, which would make him angry, and often asked to be alone. He started to write poetry with necrophiliac themes, and he even attacked his cousin with the intention to rape her. The son got arrested and he seemed to become better after leaving the family's house, but the worst was yet to come. A scent of rotting flesh could be smelled in the house, and water would become blood red. Carmen claimed that she would often see apparitions, one with black long hair and black eyes, and another one with white hair and eyes. Apparently Carmen and her niece were even one time brutally attacked and raped by some unseen entities. Carmen then decided to contact 2 paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens moved into the house along with a few other investigators. For the first weeks, nothing strange happened, but then the Warrens and the other investigators started to experience the same paranormal activities as the Snedekers family. Many of the investigators' claims to have been beaten, pushed, and even slammed into the floor. After investigating the house history, they found that one of the undertakers at the funeral home was found guilty of necrophilia. The Warrens deemed it necessary of a full-scale exorcism of the property. The Haunting of the Smurl Family. In 1973, the Smurl family moved into the new apartment. Soon the Smurl family began to experience some bizarre paranormal activities. The TV suddenly burst into flames, paintwork was found destroyed, footsteps could be heard coming from the stairs, and the radio made static sounds even though it was unplugged. The family tried to ignore the strange activities, but as time went by, the paranormal activities only got worse. Terrifying voices could sometimes be heard when no one was talking. Janet, the mother, could hear a name being called from the basement. Janet also once saw a huge black apparition with no face in the kitchen. It walked through the wall, and her mother-in-law Mary said she saw it appear on the other side. Neighbors also sometimes reported hearing screams coming from the apartment when the entire family was out. One night when Janet and her husband Jack was making love, Janet was pulled out of the bed and a horrifying smell appeared. The Smurl family couldn't take it anymore, and he contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens soon found out that the apartment was haunted by 4 demons. They concluded that the demons were active due to the family's oldest daughter, which was approaching puberty. The Warrens arranged a prayer session to try and coax at least one of the demons into the open. Only seconds after they began, a voice interrupted them. "You filthy bastard, get out of this house." The Warrens continued and they played religious music, which caused the demons to shake the furnitures, and Jack saw 2 ghosts in colonial clothing. Grunting noises like pigs were heard throughout the house. Father Robert F. McKenna later came and performed the exorcism in the apartment. But this only made matters worse. The demons now began to follow the family outside the apartment, and when the family appeared on the local television, the demons became furious. When the family came home, the demons levitated Janet into the air and they threw her against the wall. In August 1986, the family story appeared in the press. Immediately the house became a tourist attraction. Ed Warren said to the press that he had videotapes of the grunting noises, but when the press asked if they could take a look at the videotapes, Ed said that the church had them, which the church denies. The family eventually moved away in 1988 and have been said to have been untroubled by the demons ever since. Annabelle. In the 1970s, a mother purchased an antique Raggedy Ann doll. She gave the doll to her daughter named Donna as a birthday present. Donna happily accepted the doll, and she brought it back to her apartment and introduced it to her roommate Angie. But soon strange things started to happen around Annabelle. Annabelle began to move on her own. They could leave Annabelle in one room, and later would she be found in another room. Donna and Angie then began to find small paper notes with childish writing on them that said, "Help us" and "Help Lou." Donna and Angie felt like it was time to contact a medium. The medium said that the doll was possessed by a young girl named Annabelle that had died on the property that the apartment complex now stands on. Annabelle told the medium that she liked Donna and Angie and that she wanted to stay with them. Donna gave Annabelle her permission to stay with them, which was a big mistake. A friend of Donna named Lou had told her that he felt like the doll was evil and that she should get rid of it, which she ignored. One night when Lou was sleeping in the apartment, he woke up but couldn't move, and he then saw down at his feet that Annabelle slowly began to slide up his leg and stopped at his chest. Annabelle then attacked Lou, which passed out. When he woke up the next morning, he thought it was just a bad dream, but he noticed that he had big scratch marks all over his chest. After telling Donna, they agreed that something had to be done, and they contacted a priest named Father Hagen, which then contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed and Lorraine Warren contacted Donna, and they agreed on taking a look at Annabelle. The Warrens quickly understood that the doll was not possessed by a young girl's spirit. In fact, the doll was not possessed at all, but instead a demon that tried to get closer to Donna and Angie with the intention to possess one of them, manipulated the doll to create the illusion of it being alive. The Warrens decided to take Annabelle back home and place it in their occult museum. They put Annabelle in the back seat of the car, and almost immediately the Warrens felt a vicious hatred coming from Annabelle. The car became difficult to control, and the brakes stopped working. Ed then took a vial of holy water and poured it on Annabelle, and everything went back to normal, and they arrived home safely. According to Ed, Annabelle levitated several times, and that she moved on her own. At one time, a friend to the Warrens named Father Jason Bradford, a Catholic exorcist, came to the house. When he saw Annabelle sitting in a chair, he picked her up and said,
"You're just a rag doll, Annabelle. You can't hurt anyone,"
and tossed the doll back in the chair. Later, Father Jason called Lorraine and said that his brakes had stopped working on his way home. The Warrens later built a special wooden case for Annabelle and placed her in her occult museum, where she still can be found today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the like button to support my channel. It really helps a lot. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos.